The Pittsburgh Penguins made it through the crazy gauntlet that was the month of March, and their reward to start April is the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're going to get you set for another big game for the Pittsburgh Penguins on this edition of the Locked On Penguins podcast.
Your Locked On Penguins, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in to another edition of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am one of your hosts, Patrick Damp. You can follow me across all social media platforms at synonym for wet. Joined as always by my co-host, the one and only Hunter Hodes. You can follow him on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Our Twitter account is LO_Penguins. We're on Instagram at LockedOn_Penguins. And we're even on TikTok at Locked On Penguins. Of course, as always, we appreciate you making us part of your daily routine. Don't forget, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. And if you're following us on YouTube, which you should be, make sure you've hit the notification button. That way you can be among the first to know when we drop our daily Monday through Friday episodes. The Penguins find themselves in second place in the Metropolitan Division after a hectic, crazy, challenging, ridiculous month of March. And for their troubles, they're heading down south to play the Tampa Bay Lightning, one of the best teams in the National Hockey League. So they're not quite out of it just yet, but this will be another big test for the Pittsburgh Penguins as we inch even closer to the Stanley Cup playoffs, which, if you said back in October that this team would not only be in a playoff spot to start April, but potentially getting first round home ice advantage in the Stanley Cup playoffs, go ahead and hit us with those Powerball numbers. We're going to need them because this economy ain't great, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So this is really going to show us, Hunter, how good is this Penguins team? Are they taking advantage of a Metro division that's not as strong as the Atlantic division, or are they for real? And let's just get this right the hell out of the way. Nikita friggin' Kucherov, 68 games, 40 goals, 81 assists, 121 points. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's nasty, man. And he was just named the first star for the month of March, and for good reason. 6 multi-point games during that month. I know you could have easily made a case for Erik Karlsson to be named the first star, considering what he did. No Crosby for a lot of March. No Malkin. Also, Kucherov, man, 9 goals and 26 points in 14 games. He's been on another level this season, and he continues to play like, in my opinion, the Hart Trophy MVP. I think he should win it right now. I do think if the Sharks get in, Macklin Celebrini is going to get a lot of votes, and it'd be cool if he won it, but I don't think he's going to edge out Kucherov this year. I think Kucherov is going to win it. McDavid always has a case. McKinnon always has a case, but I think it's Kucherov's to lose still right now, and he has been the MVP of that team. Continues to be ridiculous, both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. Old friend Jake Guentzel, Pat, he has also been great this year. 36 goals, 81 points in 74 games. The Lightning don't have Brayden Hagel tonight, though. He missed practice yesterday. John Cooper said that he was doubtful, wasn't on the ice for the morning skate. Doesn't look like he's going to go. And that's a huge loss. He's been their third best goal scorer this year. Also has the third most points, 35 and 73 respectively. So that's a big one. They still have Brayden Point back healthy, though. And when he's on, he's fantastic. 17 goals and 46 points in 56 games. And how about this? Their best defenseman this year has not been Victor Hedman, and he is still away from the team. I hope everything is all right with him. He's been awesome for so long, but he has not been their best defenseman this year. That is Darren Radish on $975,000. That's all he's making this year. And his stats this year, 20 goals and 66 points in 67 games. He is going to get paid this offseason. Some team is going to give him a lot of term and a lot of cash because he has been awesome. He's been their number one defenseman this season. You got to watch out for him on the blue line. Anthony Cirelli, two-way force, really good defensively, will also give you the offense. This is a dynamic team, and They're great offensively, of course. You don't want to try to go blow for blow with them, but they also can defend. And if it doesn't stop there, Andrei Vasilevsky is getting the start in goal, and why wouldn't he? He's been one of the best goaltenders in the league this season. Top 5 this year among all goaltenders in goals saved above expected with 22.2, and his save percentage, if I have my notes correct, yes, 912 for this season. Vasilevsky, back to his usual self. Who knew? I mean, he's disgusting, man. And, earlier this season, when the Lightning beat the Penguins 2-1 in the shootout, Vasilevsky was the biggest reason why I felt the Penguins lost that game. The Lightning and Penguins, I felt in regulation, played a pretty 50-50 game. I felt the Penguins were a little bit better in overtime. Vasilevsky was just robbing them chance after chance. And he has that ability. He is one of the best goaltenders in the league. So this is a team that, despite no Hagel, despite no Hedman, they're very deep. They're very fast. They can score at will. They can defend well. And they have a world-class goaltender. It's going to be a really tough game, but we've seen the Penguins play better defensively this week. They're defending the house a bit better. They're keeping teams to the outside. And yeah, I know the Lightning are a better team than the Islanders and the Red Wings, but if you bring that sort of game plan to this game against Tampa, you're going to have a decent shot at coming out of here with 2 more big points. Your playoff odds go up to 98% if you win this one. Now, they only go down to 92 if you lose. So this game, it's almost like a bonus in a way because you have the Panthers coming to town this weekend and that team is really banged up. But if you win it, still big, and it gets you closer to the playoffs.
This game, for all intents and purposes, it's not meaningless. So let's make sure that's very clear. I hate that we got to caveat everything in this day and age, but again, that's a different argument for a different day. But this game isn't meaningless per se, but it is more of a measuring stick than anything because Tampa is locked in a battle with the Buffalo Sabres for the Atlantic Division. You just went through their roster, the numbers, how they're built, how they play. They are a genuinely great team. They are one of maybe 2 or 3 teams that I have as actual true blue contenders in this Stanley Cup race. You look at the rest of the league and there's only a handful of teams I'm looking at right now as contenders. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth. Buffalo, pretty much all top 3 in the Atlantic. Buffalo, Tampa, Montreal. I'd put all 3 of them as Stanley Cup contenders. Obviously, Colorado and Dallas. I'll say Edmonton in the Pacific, but the Pacific is a pillow fight, like their captain said. But when their captain is the super weapon, you've always got a shot. But for the Penguins tonight,
Minnesota, Carolina, I'd throw those 2 in there too.
Minnesota's fallen off a little bit. I think they're still playing well, or they're still well built. And I still think they've got a lot there, but they've kind of fallen by the wayside the last couple of weeks.
Fair.
They're lucky that they're in the West because they've got 94 points, put them in the East. They're dead in the heat with that, but I digress. But anyway, back to the point. Tampa's a really great team. And we have kind of been saying it on this show. We don't really know what to make of this Penguins team. They're obviously better than we expected. We both are of the belief that they are going to get this done and they are going to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. But the big question looming over them is, how good are they really? And looking at some of the teams they've beaten, some of the teams they've lost to, it's still hard to get a handle on that. But if you go down to Tampa, who is in a dogfight for the Atlantic Division, and you snatch 2 clean points away from them, especially considering over the last few years, even when this Penguins team has been not very good, they have found ways to match up well against Tampa Bay. Now you've got a deeper roster. You've got more momentum. Again, you go down to Tampa Bay, snatch 2 clean points from a contending team. A lot of ears and eyes are really going to perk up about this Penguins team.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe this win, if they get it, would be it's another statement win. And it's a message sent to the rest of the NHL saying, hey, we're really good. And we're basically almost a playoff lock at this point. We are going to hopefully get in and we can potentially do some damage a little bit. The Penguins have played the Lightning really tough this year, and they always play the Lightning tough. This is a team specifically that they always get up for. I know I say this now, and God forbid they get blown out later. Don't come back here if they get blown out, please. But history suggests that that's not going to happen. They are usually always up for these games in Tampa Bay. I mean, Penguins have points in 9 of their last 12 against Tampa Bay. They're 7-3-2 in those games. They are also 8-4-2 in their last 14 games against the Lightning. Also, they've won 5 of their last 7 in Tampa. They've gotten 3 out of a possible 4 points this year. That first game, we all both know, that was a wild back and forth game. Penguins go up 3-0. The Lightning take it to them for the entire third period. Malkin gets the game-winning goal late. There's the disallowed goal. And then the second game, I kind of felt was way more 50-50. Penguins had a slight edge in overtime. Lightning win in the shootout when they have, the better shootout finishers. Let's be real here, because the Penguins have been awful in shootouts, and they have the better goaltender in Vasilevsky. But both these games have been a lot of fun to watch. I expect the same tonight. The Penguins, again, they always wake up for this game against Tampa, and I'm excited to see. So again, you win this one, it's another big statement and another message sent to the rest of the NHL saying, hey, we're really good, and we're coming for one of those playoff spots in the Eastern Conference. A couple other keys. Well, one other key I do want to say. Actually, you know what? Let's save that for the second segment.
Yeah, that I was about to interrupt you on that one. That's the Locked On Penguins brain syncing up there. But yeah, the Penguins did have morning skate before this game down in Tampa Bay, Florida. We're going to take a look at the lineup, get into our keys to victory, and a lot more to go, including, but you're going to have to wait for this one. Our boy Kyle Dubas dropped a diss track. So don't you go anywhere. We got plenty more to get into right after this. Before we do that, though, we've got our first sponsor, and that is our friends at Game Time. There is nothing like being in the arena for an NHL game, especially with the Stanley Cup playoffs right around the corner. And who knows, PPG Paints Arena just might be rocking in a couple of weeks. The crowd, the energy, the moment, but getting tickets, that part hasn't always been so simple. That is why Game Time has become the go-to app for fans scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with us, the fans. You guys know it. I talk about Game Time all the time. Every time a big event comes to Pittsburgh, a concert, WWE, the Penguins, the Pirates, the Steelers. If I need tickets, I'm pulling up Game Time, and you know the reason why. Love me upfront pricing. Love that so much. I hate getting hit with those stupid checkout fees when I think I'm paying one number and then I'm paying more. Game Time, it tells me what I'm paying right there, right in the app, and I know what I'm getting. There's also the seat view. If you're like me, you want to know what your view is going to be when you walk inside. Even if you've been to PPG Paints Arena 1,000 times, it's still a nice little feature. So Game Time, it's the absolute best. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. Back here on the Thursday edition of the Locked On Penguins podcast, I am one of your hosts, Patrick Damp, right alongside Hunter Hodes and the Penguins. They were at work this morning in Florida ahead of their game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and not a lot of changes to the lineup this time around. Brian Rust was taking line rushes once again with Igor Chinnikov and Sidney Crosby. I don't know why my brain farted on that one. That line's pretty good. But as we know, Rust missed the last game, late scratch against Detroit. Didn't hear a whole ton about it, but now appears that he is back. Everywhere else, pretty typical of what we expected. Second line of Ben Kindle with Evgeny Malkin and Tommy Novak. Third line, Ricard Raquel between Justin Brazeau and Anthony Mantha. Fourth line, Elmer Soderblom, Connor Dewar, Noah Chari, and then no changes to the defense. Wotherspoon Carlson, Gerard Letang, Shea Clifton, and in the net, the man himself, the guy who we have been saying probably should get the extended look here, and appears he is. Stu
That's
will
the
be
right call.
between the pipes tonight in Tampa.
Very right call. Didn't mean to interrupt you there at the end, but very deserved. Was great against the Red Wings. Made some key saves when the Red Wings were trying to push a little bit at the start of the second period. Even after they made it a 3-1 game, the Red Wings were taking it to the Penguins ever so slightly, though the Penguins, they regained control of that game about halfway through the second, especially when Justin Brazeau got his first goal in quite a few weeks. But even after that, I still felt Skinner made some big saves. The one on DeBrincat was pretty good. That was a really strong start, and he deserves to get this one here in Tampa. If he plays well again here, I start him on Saturday in the first half of the back-to-back against the Panthers. Then I go Shelovs. Now, if he falters, we can go Shelovs Saturday, Skinner Sunday. They're both going to get starts this weekend. It just depends on which order they go. But you're starting to see that as of right now, Skinner is more of the 1A compared to Shelovs being the 1B. And if the playoffs were to start right now, I think they would go Skinner in net for game one. We'll have to see how the last couple of weeks go. But if that stays the same, I think we all know who's going to start in game one, assuming this team does clinch their way into the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time since the 21-22 season. Good to see Brian Rust back, only a 1-game absence. Didn't seem serious. He came out for warmups, tested it out, said, hey, just going to get a little treatment for it. Looks like he's good to go. I know some fans are a little upset that Igor Chinakhov is with Crosby. I've seen some of the takes, Pat. Oh, he's stolen another one of Evgeny Malkin's wingers. And, I understand because Chinakhov and Malkin, they have formed amazing chemistry. But Muse is just trying to find some other combinations. Like, say it doesn't fully work, I'm sure he'll put Chinakhov right back with Malkin and Novak. And they'll probably bump Raquel up to play with Rust and Crosby and all that good stuff. By the way, Rickard Raquel, third line center today. So they're going to continue to give him more reps at that position. Raquel continues to play great for this team. So they're just going to continue to play him at center. But they're testing out a few new things in the lineup. So I'm not super mad about it. Speaking of Tommy Novak, by the way, as the president of the Tommy Novak fan club, because I have pushed back against a lot of the doubters of him, he does need to be a lot better. He's not playing well the last couple of weeks. I want to see more out of him. I think he's just been a little too hesitant when he has the puck. He's been deferring too often. He has an underrated release. I want him to use it more. We all know how good of a playmaker he has been throughout this season. Well, mostly. I know there have been times where he has gone through, stretches like this, but for the most part, I've liked his playmaking ability. And I understand he wants to use that when he has the puck, but be selfish. Use your release when you have the chance. I like his chemistry with Malkin. I just want to see more from him overall. So not too many other notes about the lineup. Everything else is pretty standard. I want to see if Girard and Letang can have a third good game in a row here. I've liked Letang's game, especially these last two. And another note, the penalty kill. I want to see that unit play better tonight. It feels like it's giving up a goal per game at this point. You face a Lightning power play that I'm stunned. They're only 14th in the NHL considering the super weapon that they have, Pat, with Kucherov, Point, Guentzel. They can put Radish up there, Hedman when he's available, but he's not available right now. I'm just surprised that they're only 14th this year, but their PK is third. So that's a big test for the Penguins power play.
The thing I will say is, at least for the Tampa power play, that I think is maybe the reason is they have, surprisingly for how good they are this year, they have had a rash of injuries up and down the lineup. There have been a lot of guys who have a ton of points and are extremely valuable to them in and out of the lineup. And while at 5-on-5, it's pretty, I don't want to say easy, it's not the right word, but it's easier to play a style that is going to keep your head above water, keep you winning games, keep you in a good spot. But the trade-off is usually your power play isn't as good because you're forfeiting some top tier talent on your power play. So that to me could be the reason, but it is still going to be a massive challenge for the Penguins PK, because still going into this game, they are relatively healthy, the Tampa Bay Lightning. So you're going to see a lot of talent on that power play. So you got to be really ready to go. I'm with you as well on the Tommy Novak side of it, because you may be the president of the Novak fan club. I'm sitting to your right as the vice president. I have been a fan of him since they got him, but there's no two ways about it. He has been, I hate to use this word because it sounds like I'm putting him down, but he has been pretty ineffective the last few weeks. You know, it's my cliche that I use quite often is I start to get worried about top 6 players when the chances stop coming. I don't worry when the production falls off because everybody, with the exception of a handful of players in the history of the NHL, go through slumps, go through streaks. They have some down moments where they don't score. What worries me is when chances start drying up. And for Tommy Novak, there have not been that many chances lately. And something that stood out in his game before he became a Penguin and since he has been a Penguin, with the exception of the last few weeks, he generated offense. He generated chances. Yeah. And you just watched it and went, they're going to come. The points are going to come. The goals are going to come. He's got to get there. He's got to get back to that. And I think going with Kindle and Malkin tonight will be a nice jolt for him because we saw he has some damn good chemistry with Evgeny Malkin. Yeah. And little old 18-year-old Ben Kindle is apparently just Mr. Fix-It in this lineup. You put him with someone, they start playing better. So here we go, Ben. Another test for you to make sure that this kid is playing well. Let's start here, though, with some keys to victory. Let's get into that. It is time for it. Boy, I promise everyone who's listening, this is a new episode. It is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. Tampa has a really good goalie. So you know what they have to do, Hunter? They've got to take his eyes away and try to score some greasy goals, because if this really good goalie sees uncontested shots, he's going to stop them.
Yeah, I mean, it was similar to what we were talking about earlier this week when it came to Ilya Sorokin, where, in that first period, they had some chances in the latter half of that period, but he was gobbling them up just because he wasn't facing a lot of traffic. He could easily see them. But that first goal, especially by Elmer Soderblom, traffic in front, greasy goal right in front of the net. Him and Noah Chari did a lot of dirty work there, and he took one past him. And then Anthony Mantha gets 2 really nice goals with the patented Mantha move. We all know that. A bomb from Ryan Shea, a little bit of traffic in front there. So getting some of those greasy goals, getting some of the traffic in front of him, taking away his eyes, getting him to go side to side. I know how insane his movement is. I mean, he's probably the most athletic goaltender we have right now still in the NHL. But you got to get bodies in front of him, man, because if he sees the puck, 95% of the time he is stopping it. So even more so, the same keys I had with Sorokin apply here on Andrei Vasilevsky. And we saw that in the second matchup when he was stoning the Penguins throughout that game. It took a picture-perfect shot, remember, from Evgeny Malkin to beat him in that game. So you're going to have to really work hard for your offense here against him. Another key, of course, not turning this game into a track meet. That's just not going to work against Tampa Bay with the firepower that they have, especially on their top line that consists of Kucherov, Point, and Guentzel. Cirelli's on their second line. He's been really good offensively this year, but he also is good in his own zone. Yeah, I know they don't have Hagel, but this is still a Tampa team that they're deep. Already touched on the top guys, including Brayden Point. You got Goncalves, who has 11 goals, Bjorkstrand, who has 11 goals. Yanni Gord, of course, is there. So again, they got some guys who can put the puck in the back of the net outside of the top guys. So got to stay vigilant there. Already discussed the simple, clean game they got to play defensively, clean breakouts. I discussed special teams. I feel like that's it for most of my keys to victory for tonight.
Yeah, those are all good. The other thing is, this is one that I'll bring up that is less X's and O's, more intangible, but you're an underdog going into this game. You know that a lot of people are going to watch this game and think, it's, and I don't mean this from Penguins fans. We Penguins fans have been watching this team do a lot of really unexpected stuff this year. And I feel confident in saying that a lot of us Penguins fans have really started to believe in this group more than we were even a couple of weeks ago. But that a lot of people are going to look at this game and go, it's the Penguins and the Lightning. This one's for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got this. Go in, have that little chip on your shoulder, have that little doubt in your head that people still don't respect us. People still don't think we're a legit team. Stuff that down their throat, especially because you brought it up. The last game these two teams played, the only reason the Penguins lost, and I know that they have been terrible in shootouts this year. That is a shootout loss that I'm not using the shootout stuff as an excuse, because it's Andrei Vasilevsky, who is one of, if not the greatest goaltender in the league right now. And they dominated that overtime, which is insane to say about the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning in 3-on-3 overtime are a cheat code.
Yeah.
And the Penguins dominated that 3-on-3 overtime. And Andrei Vasilevsky said, no, you're not scoring. So that's pretty much the only reason. You know you can hang with this team. You know you can play at a level that this team plays as well. So keep that confidence, keep that swagger, go in there, show everybody you're for real, because we've got a little over 2 weeks until the Stanley Cup playoffs start. And it still feels like a lot of people, a lot of teams, a lot of places aren't really counting the Pittsburgh Penguins as one of the teams. So you got that motivation right there. You should use it to your advantage. But it's the Penguins and the Lightning, 7:00 tonight. Game will be, as far as I can tell, unless my reading is gone, it'll be on Sportsnet Pittsburgh, so you can catch the game there. And obviously Hunter and I will be back on our Friday episode to recap it. But that doesn't mean that the Thursday edition of Locked On Penguins is done. Kyle Dubas decided to get in the studio, turn the mic on, and drop a diss track on one of their prospects. We are going to talk about that, and you aren't going to want to miss it. So stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. But we've got one more sponsor to get to, and that is Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but I never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part in a live market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the United States. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swap trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission, merchant, and swap firm. Closing out the Thursday edition of Locked On Penguins, I'm Patrick Damp, right alongside Hunter Hodes, and I did not know that, along with being the lookalike to Pittsburgh Mayor Corey O'Connor, being the Penguins president of hockey operations and general manager, that Kyle Dubas is also apparently a battle rapper, because the news came out that Penguins prospect forward Cruz Lucius, he was acquired in the 2022 trade with the Carolina Hurricanes that involved Jake Guentzel. He has pretty much informed the team that he is not going to be signing with them. He is going to go to free agency. And I am not going to summarize. I am not going to paraphrase. I am going to read Kyle Dubas's quote word for word, and to keep the theme of calling him a battle rapper, bar for bar. Quote, I think passing up the chance to get into the American League and develop there, it would have been a month already now, but obviously next few months, especially when your college team doesn't qualify for anything, it's a big miss. But that's his decision and his right. We'll just move on to the next. This is going to be, for me and some listeners, a if you know moment. Kyle Dubas threw it back to the 1990s WWF, D-Generation X, and basically said to Cruz Lucius, I got 2 words for you. And if you know, you know.
I knew that reference was coming. I was just hoping you weren't going to say the two words there. But
can't say that on this show.
No, we can't say that
I
on
would
the
like
show.
to. I can't.
Yeah, we are PG-13 here. So, but we're not going to say it. But yeah, based on that quote, and also I can read the rest of it here. Lucius and his agents informed us that he was not going to be signing in Pittsburgh for a few reasons that are up to him to share. It's a personal thing for him. We felt that we had a great opportunity for him, and the proof is in the pudding on the development side. But players are entitled to make their decision, and I don't think we're at the position here anymore where we have to beg people to come. Good on you, Kyle Dubas. And sure, he's trying to be as diplomatic as he can with this answer, but, and this is just me speaking, I think he is a bit miffed by that. They offered him a contract. They spoke with him and his agent. It sounds like multiple times. I listened to the full GM show today, and Cruz Lucius said, hey, I don't want to come here. I don't think this makes sense for me. And he's going to become a free agent here in mid-August when his rights expire on August 15th. He'll be free to sign with any other team. Now, had he signed with the Penguins, he would have had a month to play in Wilkes-Barre to help them, get into the AHL playoffs, which they have clinched now, but, try to get the number 2 seed in their division, play in those playoff games, depending on who they play in the Calder Cup playoffs, and then potentially, use that momentum going into next season where he could potentially be a small dark horse to make the team. Now that's not happening. He's going to go to a different team, but, I totally get where Dubas is coming from. He doesn't want to have to beg someone to sign here. If they don't want to sign here, okay, you move on to the next and you focus on the other prospects that, are close to signing their ELCs or already have. Someone like Bill Zonin, who he admitted on the GM show that Zonin had interest from college teams. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. I want to sign here right now. He's in his playoffs right now in the queue, and he's going to try to go on a Memorial Cup run. He's playing great, by the way. I believe he has 8 points in his first 3 playoff games. And it's funny, the team they're playing against, Gabriel Daig's team in the queue. That poor goaltender has just been lit up on his team this year.
Well, speaking of Daig, him and Brunick are now both eligible to go to Wilkes-Barre because their teams have been knocked out. So
Daig's team, I think, still has one more game, right? Unless they
both of them do have their teams were knocked out of their series last night, according to Taylor Haas of DK Pittsburgh.
I knew Brunick's was. I forgot that Daig's was. So my mistake.
But still, you're right about Zonin. He has been crushing it in the queue and in pursuit of the Memorial Cup. I'll also say this. If you're still sticking with us, I probably left this way too late, but from Lucius's point, I get it. Like, here's the thing. Lucius is a solid prospect. I do think he's got an NHL future, but it's far from guaranteed. Here's the thing. Suddenly, the Penguins prospect pipeline is getting pretty full. And if you're Lucius, you're looking at that and going, that's going to be a tougher road to hoe. And I really want to try to get myself into the pros sooner rather than later, especially at his age. Pittsburgh might not be the best fit anymore.
That might be the case. I can understand the case on that, where he wants to get here as quick as possible. Maybe he thinks the Penguins don't have that avenue for him, and he wants to go to a team where maybe he can, be there right away. Again, good on him. Whatever the reason is, I'm sure we're going to get it at some point down the line. I wish the best for him, but yeah, you could tell throughout that answer on the GM show that Kyle Dubas was unhappy about it, but he tried to be, as again, diplomatic as possible. And yeah, Bill Zonin finished that series, by the way, Pat, a goal and 9 points in 4 games. He had 8 points in his first 3, finished that series with 9 and 4. So his team is moving on. Again, poor Gabriel Daig. That team was just giving up so many chances this year. He did everything he could on his junior team. And you did say it for Harrison Brunick. Yes, his team, Kamloops, they were officially knocked out. So he can join Wilkes-Barre whenever. I do expect that one to happen. I think he is going to join Wilkes-Barre for the end run here, and hopefully he gets some playoff games for them.
That would be huge for them, but just had to touch on that because it was sassy from Kyle Dubas, but also it was the correct answer by Kyle Dubas on that one. But that is going to do it for our Thursday edition of the Locked On Penguins podcast. Hunter and I will be back on Friday to get you set for the weekend back-to-back, as well as recap this game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So make sure you're tuning in for that, and make sure you're sticking with us as the Penguins push closer to the Stanley Cup playoffs. But for now, for Hunter Hodes, I am Patrick Damp. Thank you as always for tuning in, and we will be back on Friday.